Ready or not, here I come, you can't hide. Strumming my pain with his fingers.
We used to be number 10, now we permanently one.
Round up the bossy bougie coming around the way.
My drinks, my only remedy.
Slow down. Gonna find you and take it slowly. Singing my life with his words. Ooh la la la, is the natural law that the refugees bring.
No, no woman,
No woman is killing me softly. Ooh la 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 la. Hey yo, 1, 2, 3. The crew is called refugees.
The Fugees are hip-hop royalty, legendary hitmakers behind the timeless classics you still blast today. But what if I told you everything you thought you knew about them is a lie? Behind the Grammy Awards, sold-out shows, and unforgettable hits like Killing Me Softly and Ready or Not was a toxic cocktail of secret love affairs, explosive betrayals, multi-million-dollar scams, and criminal charges that would shock even Hollywood. Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean secretly entangled in a bitter love affair, Michel convicted of federal crimes in a billion-dollar international conspiracy, reunion tours collapsing in flames and lawsuits flying like bullets. Forget the harmonious image they sold you. The Fugees were chaos from day one. Buckle up, because the real story behind this iconic trio is darker and messier than you ever imagined. All right. Flashback to the early 90s, before the scandals, before the FBI investigations. Just 3 kids from New Jersey who met in high school, dreaming big. Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, and Pras Michel seemed destined to make history. They clicked instantly, combining Lauryn's soulful vocals, Wyclef's production genius, and Pras' gritty flow into a blend the world hadn't heard before. But let's keep it real. Their debut album, Blunted on Reality in '94, bombed spectacularly. Critics shredded it, and fans barely noticed. But then, lightning struck. In 1996, they dropped The Score, and boom, overnight success. Tracks like Fugees, Ready or Not, and that cover of Killing Me Softly were everywhere. I'm talking Grammys, 20 million albums sold, and world tours. Suddenly, the world was hooked on the Fugees, and for a minute, they seemed unstoppable. But fame and fortune brought something else, something hidden beneath all that harmony. See, behind those Grammy smiles and platinum plaques was a ticking time bomb of jealousy, resentment, and secret betrayals that would soon explode into full-blown chaos. You thought the Fugees were hip-hop's golden trio. Think again, because behind the scenes, things were about to get messy and personal. Okay, let's dive straight into the tea because this is where it gets really messy. See, while the Fugees were busy racking up Grammys and platinum plaques, Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean weren't just making music, they were secretly making moves behind closed doors. Yup, Lauryn and Wyclef were in a hidden romance, a love affair that simmered for years. But why keep it secret? Well, turns out Wyclef wasn't exactly single. He had a wife waiting at home. Drama alert. Now, here's where things turned nuclear. Lauryn got pregnant around '97, and everyone, including Wyclef, thought he was the father. But Lauryn had another secret up her sleeve. The real dad was actually Rohan Marley, Bob Marley's son. Ouch. Wyclef felt betrayed, hurt, humiliated. You name it. His ego was shattered, and he wasn't about to stay quiet. Instead of confronting Lauryn privately, Wyclef did what any scorned artist might do. He put it all into music. Suddenly, lyrics from both artists got very personal, very fast. Remember Lauryn's track Lost Ones? Those fiery lyrics weren't random bars. They were shots fired straight at Wyclef's ego. It's funny how money changes situation. Miscommunication lead to complication. Yeah, Lauryn wasn't even subtle. She wanted him and everyone else to know that the gloves were officially off. On the flip side, Wyclef didn't just sit and take it. He hit back, spilling their drama everywhere he could. Interviews, books, songs, calling Lauryn manipulative and accusing her of breaking up the group. Fans were shocked, tabloids feasted, and the scandal turned the Fugees from hip-hop icons into soap opera-level drama stars overnight. And Pras, Well, he was stuck awkwardly in the middle, watching his bandmates tear each other apart and knowing there was nothing he could do to save them. He later revealed how toxic the situation had become, saying he felt like a referee in a heavyweight boxing match, only he was the one getting punched. But just when you thought things couldn't get worse, the drama escalated to new heights. Lawsuits were flying, friendships were dissolving, and the public face of harmony the Fugees had spent years building was crumbling into a million messy pieces. But here's the kicker. Their explosive personal drama was only the beginning. Because while Lauryn and Wyclef fought their love wars, behind the scenes, money scandals and criminal charges were brewing, waiting to take center stage. All right, grab your popcorn because things are about to get even crazier. You see, love triangles and messy breakups weren't the only thing tearing the Fugees apart. There was another villain lurking behind the scenes. Money. First off, let's talk sampling scandals. Remember that iconic hook from Ready or Not? Well, turns out the Fugees kinda sorta maybe borrowed, flat out took, that haunting melody from Enya without her permission. Yeah, they thought nobody would notice, but Enya's lawyers did, and the whole mess nearly ended in court. Thankfully for their bank accounts, it got settled quietly, but it showed just how reckless things were getting behind those Grammy-winning beats. But wait, it gets worse. Let's talk Wyclef and his so-called charity, Yele Haiti. Sounds great, right? Helping his homeland, building communities, spreading love. Nope. Plot twist. Investigations revealed Wyclef allegedly mismanaged between $9 to $16 million in charity funds. Yep, millions vanished into thin air or into some very questionable pockets. The FBI, IRS, and a bunch of angry donors got involved, leading to lawsuits, public outrage, and Wyclef desperately trying to save his reputation. To this day, people wonder, was Wyclef a passionate philanthropist caught in bad circumstances, or was he straight up pocketing charity money? Either way, his image took a beating, big time. And speaking of legal nightmares, meet Pras Michel. Remember him? The chill, low-key guy from the group who always seemed neutral in Lauryn and Wyclef's drama? Turns out Pras had his own hidden mess brewing, one far bigger and wilder than anyone could have imagined. Pras didn't just dip his toes into trouble. He cannonballed straight into an international criminal conspiracy involving foreign billionaires, shady politicians, and even Hollywood. Yep, Pras got indicted and then convicted for funneling millions of dollars into U.S. politics from the infamous 1MDB scandal, a financial fraud involving billions stolen from Malaysia. This wasn't small potatoes. Pras was facing decades behind bars, and the scandal painted him as a criminal mastermind rather than a hip-hop legend. Imagine. 1/3 of the iconic Fugees convicted on federal conspiracy charges, another tangled in charity scams, and the third becoming known as an unreliable diva. The dream team was falling apart. Fast. But if you think this was rock bottom, think again. Because next, things spiraled into total chaos with the reunion tour from hell. A comeback attempt so disastrous, it would literally land them back in court, fighting each other over money, reputation, and betrayal. Ready or not, here comes the reunion disaster. All right, buckle up. Because if you thought Lauryn and Wyclef's love drama and money madness was wild, Pras Michel's story will blow your mind. While his bandmates were busy fighting, Pras was quietly building a reputation nobody saw coming. International criminal mastermind. Yup, the quietest member of the Fugees, always in the background, always under the radar, ended up at the center of one of the biggest financial scandals in modern history. No exaggeration here, guys. Pras wasn't just accused of some minor tax trouble. He was caught up in a multi-billion-dollar conspiracy involving embezzlement, global corruption, and shady political deals. The drama kicked off when authorities discovered Pras had deep connections to the infamous 1MDB scandal. For anyone who missed this Netflix-worthy story, 1MDB was a Malaysian government fund where over $4.5 billion was stolen by corrupt officials, shady bankers, and powerful billionaires. And somehow, smack in the middle of it all, there's Pras, the Grammy-winning rapper from New Jersey. But how exactly does a hip-hop artist end up entangled with foreign billionaires and corrupt politicians? Well, it turns out Pras wasn't just rapping, he was networking. Big time. He cozied up with a notorious fugitive billionaire named Joe Low, a party-loving playboy accused of siphoning billions from Malaysia. Together, these two became unlikely partners in crime, funneling millions of dirty dollars into U.S. politics, including secretly funding Barack Obama's 2012 presidential campaign. Sounds insane, right? It gets crazier. When the feds caught wind of this, Pras was arrested and indicted. facing serious charges like conspiracy, campaign finance fraud, and acting as an illegal foreign agent. Yep, the U.S. government straight up accused him of secretly working for foreign billionaires to manipulate American politics. And in 2023, the hammer finally dropped. Pras was found guilty, and suddenly, he was staring at a possible 20-year prison sentence. Imagine the shock. Fans who remembered him as the laid-back, mellow voice of the Fugees, now seeing headlines labeling him as a criminal mastermind involved in a multi-billion-dollar global scheme. Pras fought back, calling the charges a witch hunt, claiming he was set up and targeted unfairly. But the evidence piled up, the court wasn't convinced, and now his career and freedom hang in the balance. And just like that, the quietest member of the Fugees became its most scandalous. From Grammy stages to federal courtrooms, Pras's shocking downfall is something nobody saw coming. But hold on, because if you think this drama couldn't possibly get messier, you're dead wrong. Up next, the reunion tour fiasco that turned the bandmates from old friends into bitter courtroom enemies. Trust me, you won't believe how low they went next. Alright, so let's talk reunions. Normally, when iconic groups come back together, it's nostalgic, exciting, maybe even a bit magical. But with the Fugees, it was a straight-up nightmare. We're talking courtroom battles, canceled shows, missing money, and accusations so nasty they'd make reality TV look tame. In 2021, when the group announced their big 25th anniversary reunion tour, fans went wild. Finally, after years of scandals, beef, and messy drama, maybe Lauryn, Wyclef, and Pras had buried the hatchet. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Before the tour even kicked off, things started to unravel. First, they canceled the entire tour with zero notice, leaving fans scratching their heads. Then suddenly, they re-announced it again for 2024. Fans thought, okay, second chance, let's go. But just 3 days before the kickoff show, boom, they canceled again. Fans were furious, but that anger was nothing compared to what was happening behind the scenes. Pras immediately filed a bombshell lawsuit against Lauryn Hill. Why? He accused her of secretly controlling and mishandling millions from the reunion tour money, cutting secret side deals, and even hiding massive offers, like a $5 million payday from Coachella. Lauryn hit back hard. She claimed the tour was never even officially a Fugees reunion, just a solo Lauryn Hill anniversary show featuring her former bandmates as guests. Talk about shade. She even went further, slamming Pras as broke, desperate, and drowning in debt, basically implying he was only suing because he was financially ruined from his criminal scandals. And guess what? Wyclef stayed out of the public brawl, but behind closed doors, word spread that he was absolutely done. Imagine him, already tainted from his charity scandals, now stuck between Lauryn's diva antics, showing up late for gigs. One infamous Nairobi concert had her fans waiting for 7 hours. And Pras's legal disasters. It was a reunion nobody asked for and a nightmare nobody wanted. This reunion saga wasn't just drama. It shattered what little remained of their legacy. Fans who once saw them as legends now viewed them as petty, greedy, and dysfunctional. Forget harmony. This was pure chaos, with headlines labeling them as greedy scam artists rather than beloved musicians. So now, with lawsuits flying, friendships dead, and a bitter feud playing out in public, the Fugees had officially imploded. Any hope of reclaiming their glory days was gone, destroyed not by outside forces, but by their own egos, greed, and betrayal. But hang tight, because the story isn't quite over yet. You ever wonder what happens after such epic meltdowns? Next up, where are Lauryn, Wyclef, and Pras today? And how much did their disasters actually cost them? All right, we can't talk about the chaotic collapse of the Fugees without zeroing in on the queen of controversy herself, Lauryn Hill. The woman has talent beyond measure, sure, but let's face it, she's also become infamous for something else, being insanely late. And we're not talking fashionably late, we're talking fans waiting so long they could have watched 2 Marvel movies late. Lauryn's tardiness became so legendary that fans started showing up to her shows betting on when, or if, she'd actually appear. One notorious gig in Nairobi had fans standing around for 7 whole hours, guys. 7. When she finally showed up, fans booed louder than they cheered. Twitter exploded. Memes went viral. It was messy. And what was Lauryn's explanation? Brace yourself because it's wild. She actually told fans she was late because she was busy aligning her energy with the universe. Lauryn, pretty sure the universe wasn't paying $150 a ticket, but that wasn't a one-time slip-up. It became her bizarre trademark. The real kicker? She wasn't just late, she was unpredictable. Some nights she'd remix her classics so drastically fans couldn't even recognize their favorite songs. Imagine paying top dollar for Killing Me Softly, only to hear a reggae jazz fusion version performed 2 hours late. Fans were fed up, promoters furious, and venues hesitant to book her again. Insiders say Lauryn's unreliability was more than just poor time management. It was pure ego. She believed fans should feel privileged she showed up at all, let alone performed. Her own former bandmates openly admitted her attitude drove them crazy. Wyclef even once shaded her in an interview, calling her lateness disrespectful and unprofessional. Ouch. And let's be real, Lauryn's diva behavior didn't just hurt her. It dragged down the entire group's legacy. Promoters got scared, booking agents got wary, and ultimately, her antics damaged the chances of any real Fugees comeback. So, sure, Lauryn might blame energy alignment, but her legendary lateness is less about vibes and more about ego. But hold on tight, because up next, we're diving into the Fugees' current net worth, where they are now, and how this once iconic trio's legacy unraveled in ways nobody expected. Fast forward to today, and things aren't looking quite like the glory days. Lauryn Hill. Once the voice of a generation, Lauryn now lives up to her reputation. Unpredictable, elusive, and late to the party. Literally. Despite powerfully reappearing solo and even reuniting briefly with Wyclef at Coachella 2024, her touring has been plagued by odd cancellations, bizarre delays, and vocal strain issues. Yet her talent and legacy remain undeniable. With 6 children and a life largely lived away from the spotlight, Lauryn's net worth is hovering around $9 million, a sharp decline from her pandemic-era peak of around $25 million just a few years ago. Jean Wyclef is still touring and releasing music, riding the roller coaster of his career. Despite the Yele Haiti charity scandal that shattered the foundation in 2012, amid allegations of misused funds, despite raising over $9 million, his public image took a hit. But he remains active in music and Haitian political discussions. His estimated net worth stands at about $10 million, still enough to keep him comfortable, even if it's far from his Fugees' heyday. Pras Michel, and then there's Pras. Calm, low-key Pras, turned convicted felon. In April 2023, he was found guilty on 10 federal counts related to campaign finance fraud, witness tampering, and acting as an unregistered agent for foreign interests in connection with the Global One MDB scandal. Now 52, he's fighting sentencing, seeking a new trial, and has even requested a presidential pardon while grinding out the legal prelims from his cell. His music career is effectively on ice, and any hope of touring with the Fugees has all but vanished. So with the drama unpacked, the lawsuits exposed, and the secrets dragged into the daylight, what's left of the Fugees? Surprisingly, a lot. Because despite all the chaos, scandals, and flameouts, the score still stands tall as one of the most influential hip-hop albums ever made. Lauryn Hill's voice? Unmatched. Wyclef's production? Way ahead of its time. And even Pras, for all his legal drama, was part of a sound that blended hip-hop, soul, reggae, and politics like nobody else. That impact doesn't just fade, but their legacy is complicated. Fans now remember them as much for their drama as they do their music. Lauryn is praised as a genius who self-sabotaged. Wyclef is seen as the hustler producer who played both sides. And Pras? Well, his name will forever be linked to one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. As for their net worths, the numbers are telling. Lauryn Hill, despite legal troubles and erratic touring, still sits around $9 million, though it used to be way higher when Miseducation was dominating charts. Wyclef Jean remains steady with an estimated $10 to $15 million, bolstered by production deals and touring overseas. And Pras? His net worth is basically a giant question mark. With criminal convictions, legal fees, and asset freezes, it's likely less than $1 million. A tragic fall for someone once performing on global stages. And yet, in some strange way, that mess is part of their myth. They weren't perfect. They weren't polished. They were raw, real, and explosive. On stage and off. The Fugees weren't just a group, they were a storm. And storms don't last forever, but people always remember them. Up next, let's wrap this up with a hard truth. So here's the truth. The Fugees were never the perfect trio they appeared to be. Behind the iconic album covers and soul-stirring hooks were broken friendships, shady finances, courtroom betrayals, and egos so big they couldn't fit in the same room, let alone on the same stage. But maybe that's what made them legendary. Their story isn't just about the music. It's about the chaos, the brilliance, and the fallout of flying too close to the sun. They burned bright, they burned fast, and they left a mark that no amount of lawsuits or scandals can erase. Despite its bittersweet end, the Fugees' legacy still shines. Lauryn's voice changed music. Wyclef's global flair reshaped hip-hop. Pras's voice, before its fall, rounded out a trio that once redefined an era. But now, they're haunted by courtrooms, canceled tours, and personal conflicts. Do you think the Fugees could have survived if egos hadn't gotten in the way? Or were they always doomed to fall apart? Drop your take in the comments, and don't hold back. And if you thought this was wild, wait until we dig into Lauryn Hill's solo career and why she walked away from everything. Subscribe for that breakdown. It's coming next.